You thought you were safe. You thought I wouldn't upload twice this week. You're dead wrong. Alright, so Happy New Year's. Today I want to try something a little bit different out. I want to try doing a reaction video to Brightside. They made a couple of videos actually about Japan, and I wanted to look at them and see how accurate I think they are and see if there's anything about them that I don't know. So with that said, we're going to get into it after I tell you to push that, you know it's coming, wait for it, subscribe. Yes. Alright, so let's get on into it, shall we?
Hey, James the Jet Setter here.
Hi, James.
I just got back from my 4th trip to Japan.
Lightweight.
Besides the country's incredible technological advancement and breathtaking nature, it's Japanese rules of etiquette that have always fascinated me the most. It's a bad idea to fill your own glass when you're dining with others. Wait until someone else pours something in your cup. If you do it yourself, it sends the wrong message that your dining partners or host are ungracious.
Alright, that is straight up BS. Okay? So this is like 1920s level thinking, or like Edo Japan thinking. So I hang out with coworkers all the time. We go out and we get drinks and we get food and whatnot. Unless it's a business scenario, they're not gonna want to fill your cup. Like I 99% of the time fill my own cup out. You know, and every now and then I'll pour a cup for somebody else, but you know, that's just more of me just being polite rather than Japanese culture. Like, no, that's very archaic thinking outside of business.
Do not leave tips. It's very convenient, but if you don't know about this rule, you can end up in an embarrassing situation.
Alright, so one of the things that I really like about Japan is the fact that there is no tipping culture. So over in America, for those who don't know, is that for some reason they thought that it was a good idea to pay the waiters and waitresses like garbage, like you can't even afford a Mountain Dew level of salary, and that they make up all of their paycheck, like their money, through tips. And this is really stupid because one, it forces like this mentality that like, hey, you have to tip, and if you don't have money for a tip, then you shouldn't be allowed to eat at the restaurants, which I think is bull. Especially for me, as at one point I was a college student and I couldn't leave tips because I was just flat out broke. But, you know, I didn't have time to go home and cook. I had class in like 30 minutes, and the Steak and Shake was the closest thing to where I lived at the time, or where the school was, and I couldn't leave a tip. I've dealt with tons of waiters and waitresses that are my friends that specifically have that mentality that you shouldn't be allowed to eat at restaurants if you don't have enough for a tip, which I don't agree with. Like, I think that personally they should work in retail, but you know, like this whole mentality shouldn't even exist to begin with. Like from both parties, you know, waiters and waitresses should be paid I can't say livable wage because that doesn't really exist in America. Hey, no, they should be at least paid minimum wage at the basic, like, and then tips onto that, or just get rid of tipping altogether.
One of my first days in Japan, I had an amazing meal in a restaurant. The food, service, atmosphere, everything was perfect.
That's
so
true.
Leaving,
they're like on point. One thing, they never wash their hands, ever, literally ever. Not even in restaurants. Like that's like one of the worst parts about living in Japan. They don't wear gloves. Well, most restaurants don't. And I have been in the bathrooms where the chef would just walk in, you know, take a piss by the urinal next to me, and he'll just do this thing where he walks by the sink and the water will just sprinkle like the tips here of his index fingers on one hand, and then he'll just keep going. That's pretty normal in Japan. You know, even at my job, I see it every day. I see it at every train station. I see it at every convenience store. Everywhere you go, that is just how hand-washing culture is in Japan. So it's definitely for foods like sushi and whatnot, where they're really hands-on, you know, like tapping that. Don't do it. Like, even if it's that food that you've always been wanting to try, the hygienic standards are disgusting for that. Just don't.
Oh, and don't count the change you've just been handed. It's very rude.
No, definitely count the change.
When you climb into a hot, relaxing bath in Japan, you must already be clean. In this country, bathing isn't about washing your body. It's a relaxing activity. That's why you should clean yourself in the shower before getting into a bathtub. And make sure that no soap residue gets into the water. If there's
See, I don't agree with that. You know, yes, I understand how Japanese bathing culture is very important, but a lot of places like mine, the tub is very tiny. Like you'd have to be a kid to be able to relax inside the tub. I've tried and I got stuck. And yes, I am fat, but like the tub is like 2 feet long by 2 feet wide and like 2 feet or 3 feet deep. Like that's not like if you're crouching in like the fetal position, even a skinny adult would have trouble in that. And the shower is built into the bathtub. So for a lot of houses, especially smaller houses like mine, it just doesn't work that way at all. Like the bathtub and the shower are just combined as one unit. You know, I don't think I've ever seen in my entire time here in Japan a bathtub big enough for like an adult. Like, let's go back real quick. All right, you see how big that tub is in that picture? All right, so the Japanese ones are like a third of that size. So this is completely inaccurate. Entirely inaccurate. You know, there's just, you'd have to be like an upper class probably and have like a upper class housing to have a tub like that. I've never seen one in my life in Japan, and I've been here for almost 6 years.
If there's traditional Japanese flooring in a restaurant, you should remove your shoes before entering.
Yes,
and
that's true.
If you need to go to the restroom, you'll find several pairs of bathroom slippers of different sizes.
Disgusting, but also true.
The crucial thing is to remember to take these slippers off after you finish.
Why would you hold them? Why would you ever touch them with your hands? Don't do that. You know how many feet go in there? And you're walking on a bathroom floor full of piss. Like, what? What? Like, you don't even need to be in Japan to know how disgusting public bathrooms are. It's no different in the West. They're disgusting. You don't want to touch your shoes after you've been on the floor of a public bathroom, especially like the guest pair where like thousands of feet go in them in one day. Like, you don't know where their feet have been. You don't just don't touch the shoes.
Put a piece of this dish on a small plate first, and only then pass it over. If you're taking a break,
oh my god! Hold on, let's go back. That's like freaking Mr. Scrooge just putting like a tiny little bit of food on the plate, and he's like, "Here, this is all you get, you fucking peasant." That's literally the thought that came across my head. Like, please, sir, I want some more. Nah, fam.
a small plate first, and only then pass it over. Iri sushi, which is a slice
that image
of raw
there,
fish
right there, you see how they're wearing gloves? That's inaccurate. That is so inaccurate. They don't wear gloves. I've never seen a single one wear gloves. I mean, that's not saying it's 100%, but like, you're more likely to run into a sushi maker who doesn't wear gloves and doesn't wash their hands than you are to run into somebody with gloves. Okay, so overall, I would say that a lot of this stuff is pretty accurate, though some of it was a bit dated and some of it I just didn't agree with. So yeah, this guy actually has, let's look over here real quick before we get off. There's, yeah, the bright side, they have like 6, 7, 8 videos about Japan. So I think I'm going to start going through them one at a time and see like what I don't know and what I think is straight up BS. So if you are interested in that, make sure to subscribe, okay? Subscribe, punch that button. Donkey punch it! Alright, so in the meantime, I'm going to be getting off and I'm going to be editing this video and it should be up in a couple of hours. So yeah, take care and I will see you later.